I'm really excited about this. So, Steve, you and I have been talking about this for a while. We've known each other. I don't even know how many how many years now. Probably like 10 years. Um, been a while, yeah, for sure. And we've been in a dynamic space together. Got our teeth on many different things, and then now we're here talking about what we both do, both on Power Platform. So it took us a while to get here, and I'm excited to share that. I think a few months ago, we maybe about 6 months ago, we got on this journey of rewriting our application on Power Platform. And I know you've been doing this for a while, so I'd love to hear a little bit about how things went, what the journey looked like for you, and then we can get into some of the exciting conversation we have.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the Power Platform is one of the most amazing things that Microsoft has ever launched, really. And I don't think a lot of people understand it. We saw an opportunity to build a solution that would sit on top of Dynamics to try and make it a little easier, because it was a complicated product for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So in 2015, we built a product and we called it RapidStart that sat on top of Dynamics, really just trying to hide stuff and make it easier for people to use. And it became very popular. When they broke the applications away from the underlying platform, which many people may know used to be called XRM,
right?
Renamed it the Power Platform and made it available for us to build apps on directly, we moved off of Dynamics and down to the Power Platform and just built a simple to use CRM solution directly on that platform for a couple of reasons. One,
I'm curious to know why you saw that early on. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, I mean, the main driver was cost. I mean, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM, when we first started, was $44 a month for everything. And then over time, they broke it into its components and increased costs. And today, as of this recording, it's $95 a month for the sales app. And that's going up to
it's going up. Yeah, it's going up.
Yeah, in October, that goes up to 105. And that's a lot of money for folks to spend, particularly if they're not using everything that's available.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the price is high. I think it's a good price for what it provides, but a lot of people don't use everything it provides. And if you're not using it, then the price feels awfully high. So it was really the opportunity to move off of that onto a lower cost Power Apps license for people that just weren't using all of those powerful features.
We built Work 365. I mean, the idea was that you needed to have a product that aligned the selling motion with the billing motion, right? Have all this customer data in one environment. There is certainly the cost aspect where the licensing can be expensive. However, I think the main reason for us to kind of move and build a version of I shouldn't say move, I should say create an alternative, right, on the Power Platform was just this whole explosion of things that are happening on the Power Platform side. And some of the complexities on the dynamic CRM side, especially around product and price management, kind of made it hard for some of our non-dynamic CRM users to understand and use the application. So he just took the opportunity to say, okay, how do we simplify it? And I think you've done the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, Steve. You took the sales functionality and said, well, there's a lot here, right? How do we create something that addresses the 80% of the use cases for 20% of the cost, or maybe even lower?
It reminds me a little bit of Excel. I mean, they say the average Excel user, even a power user of Excel, is only using maybe 10 or 15% of what that product is capable of doing, but they have no need for all the other things that it would do. And I think we're in a similar boat with some of the Salesforce has the same challenge, where there's some users, superpower users, that are using a lot of the features. I don't think any user uses all of them, but there's a bunch of users that are using very few of those features. And it's a complex product. And as you say, as an ISV, making an addition to that product, you can kind of get lost in their complexity.
Yeah.
You can have as simple a product as you want, but when you put it into their product, it kind of gets swallowed up a little bit with their complexity. So it almost requires an expert Dynamics user to be able to use your product in Dynamics because it's in that whole Dynamics space. So
Perfect. That's exactly right.
you're moving it. Yeah, you're moving it out of that complexity into some simpler place as a standalone product for Power Apps is brilliant move.
The thing is, the platform itself is phenomenal. Like you said, it's one of the greatest innovations Microsoft's probably put out there. So many integrations, so much capability out of the box, and such a large ecosystem of people that are just building on it. So you're not just dependent on what Microsoft puts out there, right? It's a whole bunch of developers, internal users, and ISVs, etc. So that's exciting. So I guess to me, this is sort of the main reason, right? You set up a business, you kind of build systems, is to really grow your revenue. And why this is important is, from my standpoint, is um, you have a sales process that you ultimately will convert into some sort of a billing relationship, and then you have to collect cash. And this sales motion really exists in a customer facing application in my mind, right? So we built the first version of our application to align with the sales motion, right? Which was, how do you manage quoting? How do you manage pricing, right? And I'll just walk through some of these slides here, Steve, and let me know if you want to talk through that. So this is kind of the high level sales flow that happens in any organization, whether you're using CRM or you're using Excel or you're using whatever application you choose to use, right? So you're going to have something that defines your product catalog, right? Which is your product strategy, what you're really selling. It could, when I say product, it doesn't have to be a physical product. It doesn't have to be a subscription product. It could be anything, service, hardware, anything, right? That's your product strategy. From there on, you're basically going to sell that in some way, shape, or form through a sales motion, ideally using a CRM system, right? Where you're going to quote and you're going to eventually get a confirmation, which is what we call an order. In CRM or any other system, it's called a sales order, but the reality is the customer giving you a confirmation. From there, you're going to take that confirmation and then eventually bill them out. Whether you're doing professional services or subscription billing or anything, you have to actually go ahead and receive that revenue, right? So the way I see this is this holistic kind of start to cash, product to cash, strategy to cash, lead to cash, whatever you want to say, workflow that lives within ideally one platform, right? And this is where kind of the combined efforts from both of us can be hopefully fruitful, which we'll see at the end. So one of the things that's really important to me.
Sorry, from looking at your product and from what I understood of it, where I really saw it fit a niche was there are a lot of Microsoft partners in particular that don't sell licenses because it's too complicated.
Right.
And they've just said to a customer, go buy it from Microsoft, and they're leaving a ton of revenue on the table because in their minds this was just too complicated. And that, in my mind, was the problem that you saw and really solved was, let's let you as a partner, participate in that revenue stream in a easier way than what Microsoft was making available to you. So hats off for that. I think there's probably a lot of partners out there that are now making money that they were previously just leaving on the table because of your solution.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Well, the reality is actually twofold. So one is the opportunity that we saw because, this was a difficult problem to solve. And, our application initially was targeted towards the Microsoft ecosystem, the partners. And that's because we came from that, right? We understood what the pains were and how to actually address some of that. But the thing is, most of them kind of had this mentality of, like you said, professional services, projects, etc. However, they were really there was a requirement now for them to think about subscription and recurring revenue. And some of these customers have become, these customers of ours that are partners have started to get a lot of value out of that. through the compounding effect of this revenue, right? So this revenue starts out small, but ultimately grows. And that's really why we exist, is to help these companies that are thinking about how to grow recurring revenue, manage that carefully, and do it in a way that's scalable, right? So without errors, you kind of scale it out. You don't need to add a whole bunch of bodies to make this all work. That's why we really exist, right? And that's why we built it on Dynamics and Power Platform, because we know the Microsoft ecosystem gets access to that. They love that stuff, right? So let me kind of walk you through this, right? So as I was saying, in that workflow, you sell something and then you gotta, if you're doing recurring revenue, this is the kind of stuff you have to manage, right? You've got to manage billing frequencies, dates, etc. That becomes a little complex as you essentially scale this out. So when you have more customers, you're managing all these complex things, which really without a system is impossible to manage. And that's where we come in, right? We take all that stuff and we align it within Work 365. So ideally, this is sort of the impact of what we create, right? Jointly. And when I say jointly, I mean a CRM system and a billing system in one platform, right? You've got a go-to-market strategy, you've got the sales alignment, you've got all these services that you're basically selling and managing and provisioning, etc. Ultimately, you collect the money, and then you have all this kind of come together on the finance side, right? This is kind of the whole.
I mean, that was the exciting. That was the exciting part for me when we started talking about this. Was, you know, before your Power Platform version, you were kind of dependent on Microsoft's Dynamics, and it was providing these sales capabilities. And now you've got the platform version, but you lost those sales capabilities.
Exactly.
Which, many of your customers maybe use some use, some don't. But by bringing it back together with RapidStart, you've brought back in the ability for a customer to have this robust billing solution and still have sales and service capabilities in a CRM where these things can talk to each other. So that's what's got me really excited.
Fantastic, and that's what makes sense for us to kind of show this whole thing together, right? And so what we've done is actually put a demo together, right, to show RapidStart working with Work 365 in one Power Platform environment without having to pay an arm and a leg for Microsoft licensing. So, Steve, one of the main use cases that we solved for when we launched the application was to help Microsoft partners that are actually CSPs to manage their subscription billing. And, we touched on that being hard in the beginning, but the reality is not that it's just hard. It's that Microsoft requires you to have a system like this in place. So it's almost, they knew that this was a requirement. So you need to have an automated billing system and you need to have a self-service provisioning system for your customers and provision licenses automatically. So we solved for that need. And that's the target, the market audience we wanted to solve for first. But the reality is it's a subscription billing application that can be used in any industry. Most of our users tend to be CSPs, but not all our users are, and it's a growing market. And we really work with partners that identify recurring revenue opportunities in other industries to help us set that up and implement there, right? So, you mentioned some of these other companies that are nothing to do with Microsoft partners. But if they had recurring revenue, we would be able to do that for them using a combination of the CRM and the billing capabilities we have.
Yeah, I mean, once you figure it out, it's figured out, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you figured out recurring billing and management of recurring billing. You happen to use Microsoft as the way to figure it out, but now that process is figured out and can be applied to anything that uses a similar model of recurring billing. So,
Correct. The only nuance is sometimes the industry domain specific language or terminology, right, is important. And that's where the partner comes in, right? Someone who knows that an end customer to say, okay, well, we need to call this a little bit differently. We need to set it up a little bit differently. And that's where, there's some consulting, some services,
sure.
potentially aligning better and just demoing it the right way, right? Sometimes, and then knowing how to treat the data differently. The data is important. So that's where we work with the partners,
Yeah, yeah.
our
Well, when
partners.
you think about product licenses, but a lot of partners also have subscription managed services offerings. we're doing support under a
Yep.
subscription per user, or however they're doing it. So all of those kind of things can be wrapped into the same place, all in one place, which
Mhm.
isn't the case
That's
for
right.
most of them right now. They got their CSP over here, they got their managed service over here.
CRM, products, billing, it's all over the place.
Pulling all that together to one place is game changing.
So this is another way to kind of think about this, right? We've got the ecosystem, which is what we talked about earlier on in the conversation, right? This whole platform just creates tremendous flexibility for you to do things, right? So as ISVs, we put something out there, but the reality is it can be extended. You can do reporting, you can do stuff with Copilot, you can hire service providers like yourself, right, Steve, that can fulfill gaps that customers may need to accomplish their workflows and business processes. Did you want to add something to that, Steve? What do you think about this?
I think that what a lot of people don't understand the Power Platform, and actually Microsoft's partially to blame there because they really pushed it early on as a citizen developer low code platform, which it is. But it's also the same platform that Dynamics 365 is built on.
Correct.
So Dynamics 365 Sales, for example, is a great big Power App. So everything that's built in Dynamics 365 Sales is built in the same Power Platform that's available to us, to you, to everybody else to build. They just chose to build their app their way. And granted, they've got a lot of resources, spending a lot of energy on that, but it's all coming from the same platform.
That's right.
And I think it's important for customers to understand that the Power Platform isn't just a little place where you can build little basic apps. And you'll see Microsoft now starting to shift that messaging as well to more of the pro developer, more of the mission critical application thought process to try and get people really looking at the platform that way. So when you talk about its extensibility, and it's the same thing that sits under Dynamics 365, the world-class enterprise-grade solution. So there's really no limits. That's what you can do on the platform.
Yeah, and Steve, you've been a Microsoft MVP now for how many years?
8.
8 years. So you get a chance to talk to other MVPs, Microsoft, etc., about some of the strategy, about some of the stuff they're doing in the future as well, right? Have you seen a shift in the way they're thinking about positioning Power Apps and Dynamics, or is it just sort of, do they have a preference in the way they think about this? You think?
Yeah, there was a definite shift in some of the more recent presentations that we've seen from Ryan Cunningham, who in particular with Microsoft, he runs Power Apps. And he had a slide up with the word no code crossed through, so we don't say that anymore. He really, I think they're realizing that they kind of over-indexed on that citizen story, which is good because it is, people can, without a lot of technical skills, can build a lot of stuff, but that kind of alienated the pro community and the people thinking about serious apps. They were thinking that maybe this wasn't for them. So it always was for them also, but now Microsoft is consciously making sure that those guys and gals on that side of the house are aware of what the power is.
Yeah. And of course, Copilot's going to have the same kind of impact, right? There's a lot of conversation about Copilot and how it does things all automatically. But as we all know, there's a lot of work that has to go into actually using it. Even things like compliance, security, things like that, which you have to do. But of course, we know Microsoft's a great product, but also a great marketing company, right? So
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, Copilot is definitely the hot topic right now inside and outside of Microsoft and anything AI, frankly. The challenge will be that Copilot can do amazing things on a good set of data.
Yeah.
You can point Copilot directly at your Dataverse as a source of data to get information about your business, which is great as long as your data is great. And what we're realizing now is lots of people's data is not great.
Yeah.
So we're going to see it before we can really see the full value of Copilot. You kind of got to go in and get that data house in order that it's learning from and looking at in order to give you information. So that'll be the next wall Copilot's kind of hit. It's kind of like a Ferrari with sand in the gas tank. I mean, forget if the gas isn't any good, it doesn't matter. So we're going to see a lot of talk from Microsoft about data and products like Fabric and some of the other things that they've come up with to try and address that data side of the house.
Steve, we jump into the product stuff. Let's look at some of the ways in which we've done this. Instead of doing a live demo, I thought it'd be easier if we just did it through what we think are good visual representations of the application screenshots, so that people can get an idea of this. I'm going to walk you through some of this, and Steve, just help me out if I've missed something here, and we'll get into the details. So what I'm showing you here right now is basically an overview, kind of the My Work 365 dashboard page. And the reason this is important is there's a workflow. There's a create customer workflow. Now, generally, this is a shortcut to where we want you to go, but the reality is you need to sell and bring the customer on board to create the customer, which is where the sales and CRM functionality comes in, right? And we'll look at that once we get into the RapidStart side of things. So the thing I love about what we do, and I hope that it comes across when we talk to our prospects, is that recurring revenue is really important, and having that data, especially as a leader, at the tip of your fingers is very hard to do. And that's what we're able to do with one click in the application. Just knowing what my MRR is, what my costs are, what my top products are, just on a dashboard is probably one of the most powerful things. And you get this because you use the application, right? Let me go through this. Let me jump right into RapidStart now. So I wanted to take you kind of at a high level from the standpoint of the end goal, which is selling, and then, okay, this is what you get, MRR, but let's start from the beginning here now. So what I have here is an account form, right? A customer that's basically set up in RapidStart CRM. And, as you can see here, there's a bunch of tabs, right? This is all the informational stuff about the account. We have a billing and invoicing tab. Now, this is the Work 365 capability, which we brought into the RapidStart CRM. Okay. You'll also notice that there's products and pricing. These are Work 365 entities or tables that we're now surfacing in RapidStart. The reality is we've been able to, we merge both these applications with very little effort, but now have a whole system that does selling and billing, right? So let's just kind of keep going through this. I love the way you...
Probably important. I think it's probably important to point out is you have an environment here with two apps installed. RapidStart CRM and Work 365 are both installed in the same environment. They're individual freestanding apps. They do their thing. And you had someone on your team spend about a day or less, really just to get these two apps talking to each other.
That's it.
So, it's really just an example, again, I think, of how easy and powerful the platform is, where you can take two apps from two different companies on the same platform and, in an afternoon, essentially get them talking together.
Yeah, and create a flow, a data model, and outcomes that are going to work for us. What I really love is the way you've kind of created these visual cues in your version of RapidStart. It's so easy for me to see what I can do here. I add my contacts to my account, right? Oops, I didn't want to skip forward. I add an opportunity if I'm selling more stuff, and I'm adding a case if I have a service issue. Like, these are really great visual cues, but also a really nice way to build the app. I don't think I've seen this in the sales app. What prompted you to do like this?
That's some of our custom IP. We, adding a contact to an account, obviously you can do that in Dynamics. It takes a couple of steps, and maybe if you're not familiar with the app, you have to kind of fumble around and figure out where to do it. And any of those sorts of things, I just thought it shouldn't be difficult. I mean, what do you want to do with an account? You want to add a contact, maybe an opportunity or a case. These are the common things you're doing. Let's just surface that right here in a one-button click. to be able to do those things. So it's really just about trying to make the user, first of all, more intuitive for the user, so they don't have to hunt around where to do this stuff, but also just easier. We've got on some of the forums, there's different buttons that will run workflows in the background or do different things also. So it's just been a way to kind of right on the front page, show a user something they're looking for in an obvious way.
That's great. So,
I don't know why Microsoft doesn't do something similar.
Yeah, you wonder, right? And these are things obviously you as an ISV, as a service provider, kind of know some of these tips, tricks you learned. Now, I would say, if we were doing more stuff for another customer that somebody wanted, we could say, look, create a button to add a billing contract. You could easily do that too, right? As a service customization. Yep. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it'd be a natural step to meet from going. Well, I think you have an opportunity as a slide.
Yeah, we do. Right? Yeah, we do. Let's take a look at that.
I think that's a natural step from an opportunity. There's the list of opportunities on that account record. And I think your next, yeah, there you go. I mean, here's an opportunity, a RapidStart opportunity form. And one of the things we talked about, it'd be handy to add the tab in here to the product catalog.
Yep.
So that someone working an opportunity could pull directly from Work 365 products that are available. Mark this thing as one and have it automatically create a contract for a recurring bill. All simple stuff to do.
Yeah.
All possible.
That's right. So I'm just going to skip through here, not skip through, but get to the next slide. So what I also, this is what's really nice, right? So now easily I'm able to get to the cases as well. Yeah. The other part of the customer relationship after you sell is supporting them with all the issues they have.
Yeah, and that can be billing issues or other issues. I mean, there could be product issues, warranty issues, or billing issues, any kind of issues. Yeah. We made it a pretty flexible case management system, really just for handling any kind of issues.
Yeah. So here's an example of a case form. Again, I love these visual cues and the visual elements you built here. Very easy to understand what's happening. So this is, again, a RapidStart case form. A lot easier for me to kind of understand. It's the resolve button. I love that,
And if you don't understand, below that is the show video toggle.
Yeah.
That will actually pop up a video underneath there explaining this form to you.
Yeah. So that's great. Yeah. You've embedded all that that knowledge and usability tips into the assessment. Now, going into the step around the billing side, right? So this is a billing contract, a little bit more busy, but there's a lot of things that actually have to be handled when you're talking about billing contracts. I won't go into all the details here, but this billing contract is associated with the same customer that we were looking at for the opportunity and the case. And, they've got basically the start dates of the contracts. We've got what type of billing relationship this is. You can also automate this entire billing, which means I can send the invoices, charge the invoices. We've got payment integration. I can also sync it to an accounting system. You can use any sort of template to customize your look and feel of your invoice. And you can't see it right here, but there's a whole list of billing invoices here. So, as a billing application, subscription management and billing application, we can probably handle any sort of advanced billing scenario for any recurring revenue, right? Won't go into all that detail on this call. But what I'm going back to here is this billing and invoicing tab that now you can see at the account level that brings all the revenue information in one place for your sellers, for your customer facing team, and ultimately even for your finance team if they want to get in. The hardest part generally is, people put stuff like invoices into an accounting system because, of course, they have to go there because that's where your financial reporting comes out. But it's a customer record. An invoice is a customer record. It should be available to the teams that manage customers, right?
And if I'm going to try and sell somebody something, I would be invaluable to know what they've already bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether they're paying their bills on time and, what their lifetime value so far is. These are all important things for a seller to know about, a customer before they pick up the phone and try and sell them something else.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the compounding comes through, right? When you look at any recurring revenue, it compounds over time. So you have to keep going back to your customer and saying, do you have enough to, do you need more, right? How's the relationship going? These are all things that work well in our CRM. So
it's the Microsoft process, right? They sell you licenses, and then they reach out and try and get you to upgrade those licenses, buy adjacent licenses. The whole cross sell, upsell. You buy that first one, you just turned on that machine.
We sell, upsell. That's the idea.
And yep, and this just supports that beautifully.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm coming back to this. Looks like. Okay, the reason I came back to it is to show you how easy it is to add subscriptions. So in this case, this is a contract with a lot of subscriptions. Generally, more subscriptions, the more revenue, etc. We'll just walk through a couple of these screenshots here. So I can add a subscription directly, which also generally means that you can provision that subscription if you use one of our automated provisioning capabilities. You can also build your own custom one. We have API-based integrations that you can leverage. And what's really cool about this, actually, and a lot of people don't have this, is the history of the subscription. So what I'm showing you here is every single change that's taken place with that subscription. And when you're talking about certain products, you're buying a Netflix subscription, it doesn't change. But a lot of things do actually change over time. The license-based subscription, especially the Office 365 subscriptions, the quantities keep changing, right? More users get added, and you have all that data and history here. So Steve, I was going to talk about the self-service portal, because that's the other thing we have that actually lives and works within this this platform, right? So we've got the sales data, we've got the billing data, and the reality is all that is customer-facing data, which you can actually surface to a customer. In this set of demo screenshot slides I have, it's going to talk a little bit about the subscription management side, okay? So Power Pages, you can customize them to look like anything. These are just some samples, right? These are things that, we've created. You can make yours look like anything. So let's take an example of, self-service portal setup for this company, Sky Blue. I can put my own company's logo, branding, etc. in there. I'm going to log in. When you log into our self-service portal, you get a dashboard. Again, this is this is the minimalistic version of the dashboard. I can quickly see how many subscriptions, services, etc. I have in the system. And when I skip through, because it's all on the Dataverse and Power Platform, I'm able to surface that using Power Pages. I'm able to make changes. I can actually now see these subscriptions even by the billing relationship. What I have here is the history that the internal team can see. The customer can also see them. Okay, which is really good because now they've got historical change view of what they've done over time. They can actually adjust quantities. They can set their renewal dates. And the nice thing is that the portal is fully provisioning aware. So if you had a provisioning step that had to be complete for the change the customer requested, the portal kind of gives them that cue that it's actually pending provisioning, right?
This is such a valuable feature for this customer self-service.
Yeah.
Little story. Our RapidStart runs on Power Apps licenses, and it can run on as slow as the $5 per app license. As you can imagine, the margin for a partner on a $5 license is not very high.
Exactly.
And a lot of customers of RapidStart are small, so we'd get a customer who would want to buy like 10 licenses at $5. We're talking about $50 a month.
Right.
More work to set up the subscription.
That's right.
The revenue was more. And then once we set up the subscription, of course, 3 weeks later, the customer's calling, say, "Hey, can I add one
more?" Yeah.
Yeah, one more. And now you're having to go in, to the dashboard, Microsoft, all this stuff to add a single subscription that might generate you $1 a month.
$1 a month.
It's impossible to make any revenue on that without this customer self-search. So now, our customers can go to the portal, they can add licenses, buy, reduce, change credit card. They can do all that sort of stuff. And now it doesn't bother me that there's not a ton of margin on those particular licenses because it's not costing me anything. I don't have to put in the energy that I didn't before.
So multiple things, right, Steve? One is the labor, like you mentioned, which is the time that it takes. The second thing is just the customer experience. Who wants to wait? Like, no customer wants to have to say, okay, I'm going to give somebody a call, this smile, make the change. That time delay is also painful, right? So it's a combination of delivering good customer experience, saving on the labor cost. But the other benefit is that because it's all built into the same platform, you get provisioning and billing. So now really you're going to get, the customer's going to get an automated invoice for the change that they made without you having to do anything. We could be on the beach.
I have been at the pool on vacation and had to get up and step aside to go add a single $5 license for a user because I couldn't expect them to wait a week till I got back.
Correct.
So I felt that pain directly.
That's great. I appreciate that. And the nice thing is, because it's Power Pages, you can surface any data from the Power Platform. It could be quotes, it could be cases, it could be, of course, subscription billing and payments, invoices, etc. Right? So that's all the good stuff about about the demo and things like that. So here we are, Steve, wrapping up.
I'm very excited about this. I think that I've talked with a lot of different ISVs about working together on doing some things to incorporate with our basic sales and service app as a good logical thing to plug into this. A lot of ISVs that have built solutions for Dynamics 365 that are kind of sitting behind a customer having to make a decision to buy that first before they even get to play. And if they can reduce that cost dramatically, which they can with RapidStart, suddenly they got a lot more prospects available as an ISV. Your solution and RapidStart are a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't overlap, with any functionality. They're perfectly complementary. I have talked to some ISVs where I didn't see great complementary use cases, but this one is about as complementary as it gets. I mean, you're going to sell something, you're going to build something,
you're going to service it. Yeah, perfect.
It's all there, with these two. We got and the level of effort that it takes to install our app, install your app, and then do a little bit of wiring together to make them work the way a customer wants to, is just perfect.
So, Steve, I want to talk a little bit more about that. One of the things that we love doing is working with partners, like you said, that are complementary. Now, from my standpoint, where we think we can help each other out and help our users and customers out is really the professional services side of things, right? So talk to me a little bit about that. I know that's a big part of your service offering. You guys do customizations, you do implementations of things as well. So I think just from a standpoint of, okay, well, I would say we're more of an ISV in the sense, we are an ISV, but we're not great at services. We're just not able to put the people out there to consult and to deliver services. I know that's something you guys do a lot of and love to do, and I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I first created RapidStart back in 2015, I had this idea that customers were just going to pay me every month, that I was going to sit on a beach, eating peanuts and drinking martinis. But they kept calling because they wanted to change stuff. They wanted to do stuff and needed help. So as much as I would love to have escaped the services business, it just wasn't possible. So I decided, okay, then let's lean into it. So we've got, we got a team of 30 people. We got 7 MVPs as part of this organization. So you won't find a higher level of expertise among the partner out there. We've built this world-class app with over 100,000 users that use this app. And the app is really inexpensive. It's $5 on a $5 license. So it's $10 for a complete CRM. And the reason we did that is really because of the services that we can offer that customer behind it. They're free to work with another partner if they want to. They're free to customize it themselves, but enough customers reach out to us for services. And interestingly enough, we changed our services model to a subscription also. So we're the first ones to do that, and that's working very well, where a customer can just sign up for a flat monthly cost to get unlimited services, to build out, starting with RapidStart or Dynamics. We're fine with either one. And now with Work 365 coming in, our team can take this combination of RapidStart and Work 365 to any place a customer would like to see that end up.
That's fantastic. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. So, Steve, what are the typical customizations you see? Of course, you're going to get the data and the setup and the application implemented, right? So, is that something you guys do? And then from there on, what are the kinds of things you're seeing generally come through? I know you mentioned you've got a Business Central integration as well.
We do. We had a lot of customers asking about whether we integrated with Business Central, because Business Central is one of Microsoft's fastest growing products in the SMB space, but it doesn't have very good CRM capability. I mean, it's a finance system, right? Think of it as the next level beyond like QuickBooks or Xero, but it's not really a CRM. And a lot of people are looking for better capabilities. Microsoft recognized that and created some tooling to be able to connect Business Central to their Dynamics sales apps. And we took a look at that tooling and realized we can use the same tooling. So thank you, Microsoft. So we essentially can integrate RapidStart with Business Central using the same process and tools that Microsoft uses to connect it to Dynamics 365. And that's been a pretty popular request for a long time. So far as customizations, we've seen people do on top of RapidStart all over the place. I mean, it isn't just tweaking, an opportunity to add a few fields. I mean, we've got people that have built event management systems for mega churches on this. We've got a social media star, again, named Gary Vaynerchuk, has a NFT company called VFriends that utilizes the blockchain, and they used RapidStart to connect to the blockchain to pull back information about NFTs, so they could turn around and offer somebody who bought an NFT, other merchandise, T-shirts, things like that, and tracking sizes and preferences, which you can't really do on a blockchain. So they needed something else to work. That's an injunction with a block. I mean, I wouldn't even have imagined something like that. So the use cases are all over the place.
Okay, that's great.